How to get over an unexpected breakup. Have you ever had to end an important relationship in your life? If this was with someone you dated or perhaps were engaged to say that it's difficult is making the king of understatements. You might still love that person in so many ways, but even still, you feel the need to move on. At least in that situation, you're in control. You decide what's going to happen. You make a difficult decision and try to make it as painless for the other person as possible. What's really difficult is when you get blindsided by a breakup. You simply don't see it coming. At first, you're in absolute denial. You might even unfortunately respond in anger that makes this tough situation worse. Fortunately, there are a few things you can do to deal with this devastating parting of the ways. Keep the following things in mind if you're forced to accept that a loving relationship is over with. Accept that there are some things you can't control. This is tough. Acceptance is one of the last emotions experienced in the many stages of the grieving process. You need to embrace this idea as soon as possible. You can be angry, you can be in denial, and you can experience other emotions, but every time you do, tell yourself that this was something that was out of your hands. Attempting to influence things you have no control over is only going to cause more emotional distress. Call in the rescue squad. This is your support team. These are the folks who love and care about you. You know who they are. You're probably thinking of specific individuals right now. Everyone needs a support system. You can consult a relationship therapist or some other trained professional. They can help you get back on your feet faster than if you attempt to recover on your own. Exercise. Get up and get moving. We won't go into the science here. Suffice it to say that your body and brain do special things when you enjoy physical activity. They reward you. They realize that getting up and getting moving can improve your physical and mental health. The release of feel-good hormones and chemicals is triggered. You actually start feeling more positive emotions while levels of stress and anxiety simultaneously drop. This can help you recover emotionally, and a wonderful health boost is an added benefit. Stop blaming yourself. It's okay to review the situation. Think about what you may have done wrong that you can do better in the future, but most of the time, blaming yourself isn't smart. You start to think that everything is your fault. This keeps you from forming healthy relationships in the future. Don't be your own worst enemy here. Give yourself time to recover and look towards a happy future. Do some spring cleaning. This is very important. Remove physical reminders of the relationship from your home and your workplace. This can be extremely difficult. If it's easier for you, store away all these reminders in a box or storage shed. Then, when you've moved on emotionally, get rid of them at a later date. It's over. No one likes hearing those words, especially when they're unexpected. The 5 tips above can help you heal as quickly as possible when someone blindsides you with a breakup. How and when to part ways with an employee. Being the boss is sometimes difficult. It means hiring and firing. Those can be 2 processes where even the most studious employer makes mistakes. When you're thinking about possibly letting someone go, there's a lot to consider. Maybe an employee brings a lot to the table. They're a true asset to your company, but recent work habits are forcing you to make a tough decision. Maybe you're in the middle of a labor shortage. This can cause you to look the other way and accept less than acceptable behavior instead of letting someone go. How do you know when parting ways is the right thing to do? When you finally make that difficult decision, what's the best process? Here are a few considerations to keep in mind to make a tough time as amicable as possible for you and your employee. We also include a few pointers for identifying someone you might have to let go. Signs that you might have to part ways with an employee. Does an employee magically become sick as soon as personal time is accrued? That's the sign of someone who doesn't want to work. Some employees never seem to get behind training. They gripe, moan, and complain every time there's something new to learn or another skill that needs to be embraced. This attitude can ruin productivity and employee morale. Do multiple employees complain about somebody that's always bad-mouthing supervisors and bosses? Left unchecked, this behavior can undermine authority and do a lot of damage to any business. Complaints from customers can't be ignored. If the same employee consistently gets negative feedback from your clients and even coworkers, this problem needs to be addressed. Terminating an employee the right way. Letting someone go can be a long process. In other words, the employee deserves to be treated fairly here. They might just not be right for this particular job. Start collecting performance reviews long before the firing process takes place. This shows a pattern of behavior you can fall back on if the terminated employee takes legal action. Rehearse what you're going to say. Stick to the facts, not emotions. Smart business owners detach themselves from the process. They have someone who is a great communicator and well-liked in the company to stick to a script and handle the firing. Plan for all the potential questions ahead of time. When is the employee going to receive her last paycheck? Do they have any personal time, vacation time, or other benefits they're going to be paid for? Are you going to provide options for immediate termination or sticking around to help the person's replacement in a transition process? Talk to the remaining employees after the termination. Again, stick to a script. Address any questions. Let them know what behaviors or habits led to the termination. Then thank everyone for their help during this tough time. Parting ways with an employee can be emotionally and financially devastating. These tips will help you make the process as smooth as possible so both you and the terminated employee can both move on to a better future. How to deal with the loss of a loved one. It's never easy to say goodbye to someone we love. Death is a very natural part of the human condition. The people we love are sometimes going to pass on, and we can feel powerless in these situations. The avalanche of difficult emotions can hit us all at once and threaten to damage so many areas of our lives. You know this. You've experienced the loss of a loved one. You might be going through that unfortunate situation now. It's not easy, but there are some things you can do to develop the resilience needed to move on. Here are a few ways to make the best out of this difficult situation we're all going to have to deal with from time to time. There's strength in numbers. Many of us have a difficult time expressing our emotions. It just isn't easy for us. Unfortunately, detaching ourselves from our support network and pushing our emotions deep down inside isn't the right move here. Attend memorial services. Arrange a get-together where you join others in the grieving process. Keep busy and spend time around others who know what you're going through, especially in the first few days and weeks after your loved one has passed on. Knowing you're not alone in your feelings can help you work through them. Let it out. The 6 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining and depression, acceptance, and finding meaning. You may or may not encounter all of these feelings, and in any particular order. It's important to accept them. Don't try and block these and other emotions. Take the time you need and understand these emotions are a natural and healthy part of the healing process. Let them out. Talk about it on your schedule. Everyone is different. It takes some of us longer to deal with loss than others. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Your experience is unique to you. Don't feel bad if you recover quickly, or if it seems to take a long time to accept what happened. Then, when you're ready, talk about your feelings. Communicate with others who are also mourning the loss of your loved one. Communicate and talk about what you're going through on your schedule when it feels natural and right for you. Wonderful memories can speed up the healing process. What are the memories you have of this person who's been taken from you? Do you have videos, photographs, and letters from them that put a smile on your face? It's important to collect these items every day of your life, so when something unexpected happens, your collection of memories can calm your emotions. There is no quick and easy way to recover from the loss of a loved one. It's difficult, there's no doubt about it. These healing tips can give you the resilience you need to make that difficult situation as painless and healthy as possible. Parting ways with a sentimental possession. You've had the boat for years. It's provided a lot of wonderful memories for you and your family, but it's an eyesore that's usefulness is long gone, and you haven't taken it out in forever. You know you need to get rid of it, but the mere thought of doing that drives you crazy. You bristle at the thought of consigning it to the junkyard heap. You might feel a little bit better if you sold it to someone who could use it, but honestly, it's not seaworthy, and you admit someone would have to be off their rocker to buy it from you. Still, you just can't get past the idea that parting ways with your prized possession is somehow treating it and you unfairly. It can be difficult to say goodbye to prized possessions who have passed their prime. Be it a boat, a car, or just your favorite pair of jeans, you make excuses to keep it around even though your rational mind realizes that's not the smartest move. If you need to downsize, declutter, or otherwise minimize the number of things you have in your life, here are a few tips for making the process easier. Have someone help you make a decision. Your feelings are important. Sometimes, though, we let our personal sentiment get in the way of rationality. Don't take on this job alone. Get a family member or friend involved. Ask them what they think. Should you keep it, or does it need to go? They may be able to give you an objective viewpoint that helps you say goodbye. Don't rush things, but don't take forever either. You might just want to quickly rip the bandage off and be done with the decision. That's not always the best for your emotions. It also might mean you embrace the wrong decision. You don't want to wait forever to make a choice, but you need to give yourself time to entirely accept it. Take some pictures. Make a memory journal. This works really well for a lot of reasons. You've heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Why not take pictures of the item you're trying to part ways with? You may have lots of photos and videos of you and your family enjoying it over the years. If there are no photographs to remind you of those wonderful memories, write down your thoughts. Create a memory journal. You can revisit this anytime you want to put a smile on your face. This can help soften the blow of saying goodbye to possessions you're going to miss. Spring cleaning can be tough, both physically and emotionally. Anytime we have to say goodbye to something we've owned for years or perhaps decades, it can be difficult. We hope these 3 tips can help soften the blow when you have to part ways with the treasured item. Saying goodbye. Coping with the loss of a beloved pet. Many of us consider our pets as family members. In some cases, the human members of our extended family don't bring as much joy to our lives as our 4-legged friends. A child can have a very difficult time coping with the loss of a pet goldfish. Everyone's going to have a tough transition getting over the death of a cat or dog that's been in the family for years. You may have seen someone who you consider tough and strong break down and cry in this situation. It seems none of us are immune to handling difficult emotions when we have to say goodbye to a beloved pet. Here are a few tips to help soften the blow when you unfortunately have to mourn the death of your animal friend. Acknowledge grief, don't ignore it. Ignoring emotions isn't smart. They'll appear out of nowhere and knock you for a loop if you don't handle them in the right way. You're going to be grieving over your loss. That means dealing with denial and anger, bargaining and depression, shock, acceptance, and hope. Those are typical emotions experienced in the grieving process, and you need to give them their due before you can properly move on. Record memories now while you can. Long before you have to deal with the loss of a pet, record memories. That smartphone that's always in your hand has a capable camera and camcorder in it. Use that to record all the wonderful memories now so you can remind yourself of the love your pet provided for you after it's gone. Talk to your pet and let it all out. This is a part of the healing process. You can do this after you find out your pet has a terminal illness. You can also do this long before you have to say goodbye. If something terrible happens and you're faced with your pet's death suddenly and unpredictably, find a quiet place and have this conversation. Talk with your pet as if he was there. Let it all out. Talk about your regrets and the wonderful times you shared together. For some people, this process is easier with others that also shared a relationship with the pet. Ask your children how they're feeling. It's important for children to understand loss. They need to learn that unfortunately, the most important things in our lives sometimes leave us. This includes our pets. Question your children about their emotions during this difficult time. You might not be the greatest at dealing with emotions yourself, but you need to be there for your children and answer any questions they have, as difficult as it might be for you. They say that time heals all wounds. This might be an impossible notion to grasp when your pet dies. Hopefully, the tips we shared with you can help soften the blow. Nothing will ever replace the wonderful pet you're parting ways with. Knowing what to expect in advance of this inevitable moment might help you deal with it in a much better way.